it play and call it work.
Hey everybody, Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com. Why do I love Tyranids? I love swarms of alien creatures swarming towards the enemy with no thought for their own lives and no thought for why they're even doing it except that they have a voracious hunger that can never be satisfied. I love the idea of a thankless job for all of the little gaunts, the hormagaunts and the termagaunts. I love that there's a hive mind, and yet it is so far alien to what we understand that it is totally incomprehensible and immeasurable to the human mind, or even the Eldari mind, or even the Tau mind, that no matter how much they study, the Tyranids keep giving them new surprises of things that are happening. And the biggest thing is, we don't even know who they are, where they're from, what they want besides consuming everything, and how many more are out there. And before I go any further, in the description below, I'm going to put a few links to some of my favorite beat map bat reps where I feature the Tyranids, so go check those out in the vault now. This is the MiniWarGaming Studio Tyranid Army. It actually comprises also the Nurgle Tyranids that we had built for a couple of our narrative campaigns. There's 28,000 points, roughly. Now with Tyranids, they have a lot of options. So that could go anywhere from 27,000 points. We could probably even beef it up to 30,000 if we're getting really irresponsible with the upgrades that we give them. But 28,000 roughly. We've got hundreds of gaunts. We've got over 200 termagaunts and almost 200 hormagaunts. Over 120 gene stealers, my personal favorite. We've got 50 gargoyles, but let's not forget the most important unit of all, 109 spore mines. We got so many boars, 6 pyrovores, 15 biovores. We've got about 15 lictors / death leapers. We've got 6 broodlords of various qualities, 24 raveners, and 59 Tyranid warriors of all sorts. We've got about 19 zoanthropes / neurothropes, and even 6 venomthropes with 3 more, so 9 venomthropes. And 18 carnifexes. There are tons of other monsters too. Tyrannifexes, hive tyrants, harpies, hive crones, demacarons. We've got toxicrenes and maliceptors and trigons and trigon primes and molochs and tyrannocytes. We've got a big, huge Tyranid hierophant with his 2 Harridan buddies and a couple of hierodules, a scythe hierodule and a barbed hierodule. These guys alone are 4,500 points. And what I find interesting about the Tyranid lore is what drew me in at the beginning. See, I was a big fan of the StarCraft Zerg race, and so when I got into 40k and saw that there was these Tyranids who clearly ripped off Blizzard and did the Zerg, no, it was the other way around. But anyways, I instantly fell in love and wanted to do that. Now, the models weren't the thing that really drew me in for them, because I kind of found them a little weird seeing how they, they're holding their guns and all that. Whereas a Zerg for StarCraft, they were more organic. But the lore behind the Tyranids is infinitely superior to the StarCraft Zerg lore, in my opinion, because they are so alien. See, in StarCraft, they gave the Zerg more human-like attributes with the Cerebrits, later on with Kerrigan and all that happened in StarCraft 2. Whereas the Tyranids have remained voiceless. They've remained faceless. They've remained just a mentality that is so far beyond the comprehension of mankind that all we can do is try to look at them and compare them to things we do understand. We compare them to a beehive, or we compare them to insects. But in the end, every single termagant is a cell in a huge organism that no more sees you as a threat than you do the bacteria in the food that you decide to eat off the plate. The only way you can truly win against the Tyranids is to kill every last one of them. And not in a war of attrition, not in a war of any other type, than just a brutal destroy every last organism. Because even if just a few escape, they are able to reproduce and be a threat again. The other thing about the lore is they're coming from all parts of the galaxy. They're coming down and up into the galaxy. They're coming from the eastern fringe. They're starting to pop up everywhere. And we have no idea just how many more are out there in the Great Void. This could very well just be the fingertips of a hand, of an arm, of a body. Or it could be the full brunt of their force. We don't know. And so the fact that we don't know that allows Games Workshop to have so much access to their lore. But probably the favorite part of the lore that I like is how gene stealers work and how they spread and how they prepare worlds to be eaten by Tyranids and how they gain so much more flavor. All the non-human, non-flavor that the Tyranids lack, they make up for in the gene stealer cults. And how a single gene stealer can get on board a ship, go to another planet, start to infest other people, draw them all in, impregnate them, create new gene stealer generations until there's an entire cult following, and that original gene stealer becomes a super powerful patriarch and uses subterfuge and all sorts of other politics to create civil unrest in the planet. And once it's ripe for destruction, the patriarch's psychic powers are so high that it gives off a beacon that nearby Tyranid swarms will then get pulled towards it because it is ripe for eating, because it'll be easier for them to overcome it. And as they approach, the gene stealers have the instinct to get away. So as everybody's panicking and leaving the planet, the gene stealers stow away all their vehicles or all their spaceships and get sent to new places and start the cycle over and over and over again. And to me, that two-part of the lore, where there's the vanguard of the gene stealer cult and then the Tyranids arriving, to me creates a very rich background. Their playstyle wise, I love how they play in the game, especially in 8th edition, where you can actually play them more close combat oriented. I've always wanted them to be a more close combat army. Not that the hive mind wouldn't evolve just to shoot the crap out of their enemy, but because it's neat on the table to see swarms going across the table. And I remember when I first started playing them back in 4th edition, the general rule of thumb is if you hadn't killed more than half my army before I killed your first guy, you probably lost. Because they just ran across the battlefield and all the gun lines are killing them all, and I'm removing tons of models. I'm like, well, you haven't removed at least half of them, so you're going to get overwhelmed. And they slam into the other side and they just eat through the whole thing. And I love that play style, and just having like the small Griblies with the medium-sized synapse creatures with the bigger Carnifexes and even bigger Tyrannifexes and even bigger Hierodules and Hierophants. Just that progression that allows you to create this epic-looking swarm as we go across the battlefield. That's why I love Tyranids. Now, as much as I said I'm not a big fan of the models, and I still would love to see the entire line get redone to be more organic, there are certain ones that do stand out to me, which is funny because originally the Gene Stealers are the ones that look the most janky to me. They're, the very old models. You can see that they were designed back in the 80s. But as they kept redoing the Gene Stealers and eventually redid the Broodlords and redid the Patriarch became my favorite model because he's just so scary. But the fact that he's stealthy with a mass that big is what is so scary. And the fact that he is super cunning and he's the center of this huge web of the Gene Stealer cult, that to me makes him the coolest model. Even though he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, there's just the combination of the way he looks, how sinister he looks, whereas other Tyranids, they're just animals feeding. They're just parts of the organism feeding. The Patriarch, you can see a cunning alien intelligence behind his eyes and behind all of his multitudinous claws, and how he's actually working to undermine society. And that's why I love that model. And that's why I love Tyranids. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. We're going to be doing more of this Why I Love series. And don't forget to check out the various Tyranid battle reports in the descriptions below. They are in the MiniWarGaming Vault, of course. And if you're not a Vault member, you can still click those links, get a free 7-day trial, get full access to the Vault, which contains thousands of videos, battle reports, behind the scenes. We've got reviews, we've got narrative campaigns, painting tutorials. They're all in the MiniWarGaming Vault. The Vault is what allows us to collect and paint a collection such as this, and to be able to have our studios hire our employees and make more videos for you. So that's why I love Tyranids, but why I love MiniWarGaming is because of our Vault members. So go click the links below, go watch those videos, sign up for the Vault, and happy wargaming.